UFC 229 was this weekend, and it was a lot. It was a lot. There was some good fights. There was some stars that possibly got made, and of course there was a really crazy post-fight incident. Who's to blame? I'm Titus from Not the Experts. How y'all doing? So UFC 229 happened Saturday night. Khabib versus Conor McGregor. It was a lot taking place. The fight card was actually pretty solid. I didn't have high expectations I'm a UFC fan. I didn't have high expectations for that card as a whole. I didn't like some of the matchups. I wasn't interested in some of the matchups. I'll say that. It wasn't a stat card per se, but it ended up being a very serviceable card. It was a good experience. It was a lot of fun. So we're just gonna focus on the main event because that seems to be where all the nonsense was. So Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor have been going back and forth basically all year, pretty much. This was a big build-up. It was exciting to see Conor back in the UFC. I'm someone who's very vocal about how I don't really like the extra stuff Conor does a lot of the times. I'm not a big fan of it. But I do enjoy watching him fight. So I was very excited to see him back in the UFC and back in MMA and taking a fight that was something that was a very big challenge for him and that was a very big challenge for him. It wasn't something just a matchup to just a throwaway fight like what I consider the Nate Diaz fights to be, or throwaway fights because they meant nothing to Conor's in terms of him being a champion and him fighting for his belt. He came back and tried to win the UFC belt, and he fought the most dangerous undefeated guy in the division. One of the most dangerous guys in the division. I think there are a few, but so the fight happened, and it was a wash basically. Khabib ran through Conor. The only round that was close was the third, and that round was close simply because Khabib chose to stand the whole round, and I think Conor took that round. But it was a fourth round submission. Khabib kind of ran through him, and it kind of showed the differences there. The thing is, with Conor and Khabib, they are both very, very good at what they do. They're probably some of the best at what they do. And but the compelling part about the matchup is that while they're both the best at what they do, they are also both the kind of fighters that you think would beat the other. Like, their skill sets are polar opposites is what I'm trying to say. I went around the world to say that. But their skill sets are polar opposites, which is what made that matchup so compelling. But at the end of the day, what we got was another Khabib fight where he basically, as he likes to say, he smashed his opponent. And it was an opponent that he didn't like. And he ran through him. And if you've been following this, there's been a lot of issues leading up to this fight. This was a legitimate rivalry. These two guys did not like each other. A lot of things happened. There's a big history there between them. I don't want to get into it because it's just a lot. But I mean, we all know the high profile incidents. We know about Conor attacking the bus. We all saw the lead up to this fight where everything got kind of crazy. Conor talked a whole lot, and got really personal. And Khabib submits Conor, says a little something to him, which I kind of expected. That didn't really bother me because in reality, both of these guys said during fight week, they were both asked about their rivalry, and both of them said this isn't going to be over after the fight. Like, they both stated that no matter what happened in the fight, they weren't going to end up shaking hands and singing Kumbaya together. Like, that wasn't happening. There was no respect there. They don't like each other. Khabib doesn't like him. Conor doesn't like Khabib, period. So after the fight, I didn't expect them to shake hands. I kind of expected Khabib to say something to him. What I didn't expect was to see Khabib jump the fence and go at one of Khabib's coaches, in Dylan Dennis, who's Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach. I didn't see that coming. Apparently Dennis had made some comments. Dylan Dennis had made some comments about Khabib, and according to people, a lot of people that were there, the commentators, Joe Rogan, Anik, they all stated that Dennis was saying something to Khabib after the fight. Because Khabib went, after Khabib after Khabib submitted Conor, he went and said something to Dennis, and they started jawing back and forth while Dennis was outside the cage. So Khabib jumped the fence and went at him. And as he was doing that, Conor is trying to get out of the fence because, I mean, his coach is getting in trouble. I don't knock him for that. His coach is about to get attacked by somebody. He's getting charged by a fighter. So Conor's trying to get out of the cage. He ends up running into one of Khabib's people, and they throw a couple punches back and forth. And then another dude, security separating that, and another dude jumps in the cage and just punches Conor in the face. Wasn't clean though, thankfully. It wasn't a clean shot. But because Conor didn't see it coming. I hate to see somebody get hit with a clean shot they didn't see coming. So everything went crazy. It was about 15 extra minutes of just nonsense. Security escorted everyone out. Conor escorted out. Khabib got escorted out. And Dana White didn't put the belt on Khabib because he said that if I put this belt on you, I think these people are going to go crazy, basically. And I personally think that was a good decision because you don't want to stoke the fire or something like that. Conor has a huge fan base. You can hear the ole, ole, ole chants during fights when he's on the card. It's actually pretty fun. But I don't blame Dana for not giving Khabib the belt after that because I feel like it would have created another... It could have gotten a lot worse. That situation could have been a lot worse than it was. That could have spilled out into the stands. It could have been fans fighting. But thankfully that didn't happen. So we just kept it between people that are trained in fighting, which is very good as far as I'm concerned. Now, a lot of the talk now has been about whose fault is it, who created this environment, why is this environment like that, why was the environment like that, was this is a black eye on the sport, which I don't necessarily agree with personally, but it's a lot of talk of who's to blame here. And I think Ben Fowlkes of MMA Junkie wrote a really good article and basically said there's plenty of blame to go around for everybody. And I kind of agree with that. We can start. To me, I kind of agree, but I want to take it. I agree, but I want to take a little bit of a different approach as well. So we can start back, I guess, in April when Conor McGregor, Khabib, and one of Conor McGregor's teammates had an incident that ended with Khabib slapping the dude. Artem Lobov is his name. So Conor ran to New York with his a bunch of dudes. There's video of it. We've all seen it. We all know the story. Conor attacked the bus that Khabib was supposed to be on, broke glass, hurt a couple of fighters in that situation, a couple other fighters in that situation. Guys got pulled from the cars. People got pulled from cars. It was a whole lot. He got arrested, and it was just a big scene. So Conor did that because of what happened with Khabib, and then Khabib and Conor had their press conferences, and Conor said a lot of things about Dagestan, the country where Khabib is from, and how about Khabib's father being a coward and all types of historical, geopolitical, crazy stuff that happened. So it got really, really personal and it got really ugly. And the thing about that is, so it's easy to say that, oh, yo, Conor asked for this, kind of, and in a way he did. I don't disagree with that. I didn't expect, like I said, I didn't expect Conor and Khabib to be friends after this fight. I really didn't. I expected things to stay pretty much the same. It's just one gonna have victory over the other. So I expected them to stay enemies. I didn't expect to see somebody lift the other one's hand up after the fight because of how personal it had gotten. So Conor played the game. It got personal, and Khabib wasn't going for it, so Khabib was angry. The UFC, in my opinion, has a hand in this, of course, because Dana White, after the bus incident, Dana White was talking about how disgusted he was and how he might not want to work with Conor ever again, blah, blah, blah. And then the bus incident ends up in all the promo for the fight, except for, I think, one promo that aired the day before the fight. So this incident that you were so disgusted by, you used for promotion. And now, once again, he's taking the disgusted route with what happened with Khabib Saturday night. Khabib and his people Saturday night. And it's hard to buy, honestly. It's hard to buy because we've seen you use this stuff for promo. So in a way, the UFC has enabled this type of behavior because instead of trying to diffuse this fire and just get those two guys to just have a fight and then go on about the day, you enhanced it for marketing because you know what sells. Look, man, we can talk all we want about these principled stands, about how much we want to see sportsmanship and everything, but in fighting, man, we don't care about none of that. People like drama, period. We enjoy drama shamelessly until drama goes too far, and then we're all upset like, oh my god, how could this happen? It happened because we wanted it to happen. Alright, we let it happen because we built it up, we bought into it, when Connor's saying this crazy stuff, a lot of people aren't going, whoa, that's kind of over the line, man. You think you should tone that down a little bit? People aren't checking him on it. When things happen, when the bus thing happened, people didn't check Conor on it. Really? People didn't check Khabib. So now, when Khabib retaliates the way he retaliates, now all of a sudden, everything is wrong. Everything is a terrible black eye on the sport, and everyone's disgusted. I don't get it. I'm not buying it. I think we're all to blame somewhat here because we've all embraced this in the sport. No one has ever said that lines can't be crossed. No one's established what lines can and can't be crossed. We accept whatever is said, and then we go on about it and use it because they're gonna fight each other at the end of the day. This idea that people that are gonna step into a cage or a ring and fight each other have to be friends. No, they don't have to be friends. Is there a level of disrespect that I think shouldn't be crossed? Yeah, but that's just a human thing for me. Like, there are certain things you don't need to say to someone. You don't need to talk about someone's father. You don't need to talk about someone's religion. You don't need to talk about someone's country. You don't need to bring up Putin, which Conor McGregor did. And there's certain things you don't need to do in the build-up. All that being said, I don't like Khabib's friends attacking Conor. I think that's whack. I'm glad they got arrested. I know they got released. Salute to Conor for not pressing charges on him. I think that was interesting. I thought that was interesting and pretty solid of him to do. But at the same time, I don't like that. Dana White said any of those guys that are in the UFC won't be in the UFC anymore. And any of the guys that did it will never be in the UFC. And I think that's fair and just because, look, you're not in the fight. You don't get to jump in and attack someone. You just don't. You gotta let your man wear that. Your man's gotta do that. You don't need to do that. Khabib jumping out of the cage, I wasn't that upset about. I really wasn't. Because I'm thinking about if I'm in a fight, my adrenaline is running, I beat one guy, one of his trainers said some things, I beat one guy I didn't like, his trainer says things I didn't like, so I'm going to say a little bit to him too, and then he's going to talk back, while my adrenaline's going, I just got done with the fight, yeah, I might go a little crazy. Like, I'm not going to knock someone for what they do when the adrenaline is running. I understand the idea that it could have spilled into something different, but it didn't. He didn't attack a fan. He attacked someone who was trained to fight. He attacked another professional fighter, and nothing really went down either. So I'm not really tripping on that. I don't think, to me, that wasn't the most egregious thing. The most egregious thing to me was Khabib's friend attacking Conor in the cage. Khabib going after another fighter does not affect me at all. It didn't make me think anything. Because that dude, Dylan Dennis, was apparently running his mouth, and Khabib had adrenaline going, things happened. The end. We can talk about what could have happened, and I'm thankful that it didn't, but it didn't happen at the end of the day. So, I'm a little leaning towards Khabib in that situation. If you look at his press conference, he kind of brought up that, how come Conor can say all these things, they can say all these things about my family, my religion, this and that, but then I do this, and I'm the bad guy. I get where he's coming from in a way. But I also get the people that say you have to be bigger than that. But my counterpoint to the idea that you have to be bigger than that is different people have different values. I think in our culture in America, we have kind of normalized this idea that people can say whatever they want to say to you and you just got to deal with it and take the high road or whatever. You just got to accept that and then go on about your day. Khabib's not from America. Khabib isn't playing these games. Khabib is from Dagestan, and Khabib, I think, has a different set of values. So to Khabib, respect and honor are more important than this idea that I have to take this moral high ground upon you. No, you got down and dirty, so I'm gonna do the same thing to you. I understand Khabib's approach there because I think we all of us should have lines. I think no matter what we say about how much people need to take the high road. If people say certain things, you're gonna pop off. And how words shouldn't matter. Like, people say certain things, people say words don't matter. Nah, people say certain things to you, it's gonna be a problem. Period. That's for anyone on this. I think that's for anybody. There are certain things you're not gonna want to hear. Certain things you're not want people to say to you. And in Khabib's culture, that's how he addressed it. Like, this wasn't for show. This wasn't a joke to Khabib talking about stuff. That wasn't just for promo. Khabib was really upset. Like, you don't get to talk to me and about my family any kind of way. I think if you talk just about Khabib, wouldn't have been that big a deal. But you bring up my family and my country, it's over with. That's how Khabib approached it. And that's what he values. So I think to say that he should have done this is applying our standards of what he should have done. Our standards of what he should have handled and what he should have taken. Because that's what we have normalized as a society. That's not what's normalized to him. Period. So he attacked it. He took the approach that he wanted to take. I'm not knocking him for it. I understand it. I wish it didn't happen, but it did. It is what it is. And like I said, he didn't go after a fan. He went after another professional fighter. It's not that bad to me personally. And I think the question that has to be asked is, in all of this, I think the question no one has asked, and when speaking about what Khabib did and what his actions were, the question that no one's asking, I think needs to be asked, is for him, whatever punishment might come from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because as far as I know, as of now, as of this recording, the Nevada State Athletic Commission has withheld Khabib's check. He has not been paid for the fight because they're evaluating the incident. He's going to get a huge fine. The commission's probably going to suspend him for a very, very long time. So there's a chance he might lose his belt because he can't fight for a year because of suspension. There's a possibility of a lot of different outcomes here. But the question that has to be asked to me, and the question that has to be asked for Khabib is, was it worth it? The thing about actions have consequences. When you make an action, you have to be able to live with the consequences. You have to ask yourself, is this worth whatever comes? If Khabib can say, yes, whatever they do, I don't care. Whatever the commission decides, I don't care. I feel like I defended my family. I defended my family. I defended myself. I defended the people I care about. And he can live with that. He can live with the consequences. Then what happened is what it is. Because you have to be able to live with your actions. And if he's able to live with that action, then fine. Wash your hands of it. We'll move on. The sport will be okay. And that's going to be the end of it. So if Khabib can live with it, then I don't think there's anything else to discuss here. That's just how I feel personally. Those are my thoughts on all of that craziness. I want to talk briefly about this idea that this is some giant black eye on the sport of MMA and the UFC, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. No, it's not, man. The thing is, if, let's say Khabib gets suspended for a year, right? When Khabib comes back, this same black eye on the sport is going to be used in all the promotion for the fight. It's going to be talked about everywhere on ESPN when they go to ESPN, because the UFC is headed to ESPN next year. So it can't be a black eye if we're going to use it to promote the next event. And they are for sure going to use it to promote the next event if there is, in fact, a rematch between Conor and Khabib. Even though, in my opinion, there shouldn't be a rematch just based on the fact that Khabib watched them. But if Khabib is gone for a year, then Conor has a chance to possibly win the belt in a fight, and then he'll be the champion. Khabib will come back and get a title shot. That's the only way I can see a rematch happening. I don't think Conor necessarily deserves a rematch under normal circumstances, but that's another story. But this is not a black. I don't think it's a black on the sport, because at the end of the day, man, watching people fight in a cage. All right, that's what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. We're watching people fight in a cage. It's gonna get violent. It's gonna get hectic at times. You just hope. You're just thankful that no fans get injured. And if it stays between fighters, I'm not really tripping too much. If it's staying between fighters who are active in the fight, I should say, I don't think we're going to trip too much. We love this stuff, man. We love drama. We love action. This is such a black eye. It's not even a headlining topic today after a football Sunday. So it's not even a big... It's already fading to the background. People don't care as much as they pretend to. I saw Reggie Miller tweeted that this was worse than Malice at the Palace, and Reggie... Get out. Just no. Absolutely not. I don't think I need to explain why that's a ridiculous thing to say. I think we all just understand why it's ridiculous. So I'm not going to... I trust you all. If you're listening to this podcast, I believe that you know why that's ridiculous. That's how much I believe in you. I love y'all. And I trust that y'all know that was stupid. So, I think that's about all I got to say on UFC 229. UFC 230 is next month. I might be back. I'm not sure. I'm going to cover that. But this is just a little quick hit. I'm going to try and do more of these where I just want to focus on a couple things that I'm interested in. And, I've done this a few times. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Thank you for listening. Have a good Monday. Be out.